recap slash the beginning of our draft preview. Um, Man, I think we're just going to get right into it. Taking a look at the history books, Oregon just claimed their first national title, defeating the Miami Hurricanes and bringing a third straight national title to the Big Ten Conference, as the Big Ten has had four teams in the last three titles, three of which have won. And, looking at it, the SEC has not made a national championship since 2022, which might be a problem for that conference. I still think the SEC is better, just being so much more well-rounded. The Big Ten, very top-heavy. Anyways, we're going to take a look at the draft prospects position by position. The full rankings will be more once the Madden series begins. But the number one guy at the quarterback position is going to be Carson Beck. Beck literally just led his team to the number one seed in the college football playoffs, all the way to the national championship, before eventually falling to the Oregon Ducks. Beck did spend 6 years in college, a 3-year starter, and had threw for a career 98 touchdowns to 25 interceptions. Kind of tunnel focusing in on his last season with Miami. He threw for a career high 4,100 yards, a career high 40 touchdowns. That was 12 more than last year and 16 more than the year before that. And then 5 interceptions, which was 1 less than 2 years ago and 7 less than his total from last year. Now, the thing about Beck is he is a pocket passer. He only ran for 40 yards and 4 scores. He only has 9 career rushing touchdowns, so he's not going to be a dual threat, but this guy can absolutely sling it. And we know he's a winner. He has quarterbacked for, obviously, at Georgia. He is a 2-time national champion. He made it to another national championship this year in 2025. He's a beast. And whatever team gets him is going to be super, super fortunate. The number 2 quarterback in prospect in the draft is also going to be in his same conference, and that's Cade Klubnik. Klubnik threw for 36 touchdowns for the second year in a row. He's got 93 on his career. Literally had the exact same touchdown to interception ratio as last year for Klubnik, and last year he was really, really good. Completion percentage was just a little bit lower, but he did have more yards. So Klubnik, another guy who was he's a 3-year starter from Austin, Texas. He will be a top 10 pick. Yeah, he's a beast. Very good. Obviously, Clemson wasn't that good down the stretch. So he didn't play in the playoffs this year, but he did play in the playoffs 2 years ago. So he's got that experience under his belt. The number 3 quarterback in the draft is none other than Penn State. Drew Aller. This guy was made in a lab. 6'5", 236. He is the big, strong arm bounce up quarterback of the year on this rotation. One thing I've seen with him is the completion percentage has gone way up over his career. His first year starting, it was only at a 59. Then it went up to a 66. This year it's at a 67. He's thrown for 83 career touchdowns to just 17 interceptions, as yet again a 3-year starter at Penn State. But the thing about him is going to be the size. He is just massive. And then the throw power as well. He's got 98 throw power. That's going to transfer over to the National Football League. And to see that his accuracy has improved so much, he's going to be a beast. He did have some more weapons this year than he did his first 2 years. But still, great year for Drew Aller. Earned himself pretty much a lock for the first round. Then you got the number 4 quarterback who will be leaving for the draft early, It's going to be transfer QB John Mateer. Mateer played for Oklahoma this year, threw for 28 touchdowns and just one interception. He also ran it in for 7 more. So that is 35 total touchdowns for Mateer. And the thing is, he only threw 1 pick, completing 64% of his passes. That was the same as last year. Last year with Wazoo in his first year as a starter, he threw for 3,100 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions, while running for 800 more and 15 scores. That means he has a career 25 rushing touchdowns and 60 passing touchdowns in about 2 seasons worth of play. Crazy stuff. Mateer looking like a top pick. The number 5 QB in the draft was a big jumper. Moving over from the Sun Belt to the SEC, it's Joey Aguilar. Obviously, Nico Iamaleava worked out in UCLA. But if I'm a Tennessee fan, I think this whole thing really worked out. Joey Aguilar, again, 3rd year starting. He spent his first 2 at App State. He's a 5th year senior. And he had by far his best year, throwing for 4,200 yards, 29 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. That is a career high touchdown to interception rate. He threw for 33 passing touchdowns 2 years ago with App State. But and last year he led his conference in interceptions. It was a really kind of a rough year for him. 23 touchdowns, 14 picks, only 55% completion. He transferred over to UCLA, but then you had the whole weird swap thing where Nico transferred super duper late, so he was the only guy available for Tennessee. Ends up going there, runs for 12, throws for 29, 41 total touchdown season for Aguilar. He only had 5 rushing touchdowns at App State. He runs it in 12 times this year for Tennessee. He was a different animal with the Vols. Another like Hendon Hooker type. He just transfers and becomes great. At number 6, the 6th best quarterback in the draft, another guy who came out of nowhere. I mean, this was a player who started in the SEC. He bounced. This is his 4th school. He was a highly rated recruit, but he never panned out because his accuracy was just awful. Well, Robbie Ashford is going to be playing on Sundays. Originally was at Oregon, then went to Auburn, where he was their primary starter in 2022, but only completed 49% of his passes for 7 touchdowns, 7 picks. Did run for 7 more touchdowns on the ground because he's a great runner. But bad year for him there. Then got sat on the bench in 2023 for Auburn. Sat on the bench in 2024 for South Carolina. The accuracy looked better though when he did play. And in 2025, he was looking like he'd be one of the worst starters in college football with Wake Forest. However, that went extremely differently. He threw for 3,700 yards, 39 touchdowns to just 9 interceptions, and meanwhile running for 507 more on the ground. Yeah, that's going to be an NFL player. Robbie Ashford at number 6. Falling all the way down to number 7, you wish we could see another year out of him, because I really thought if we got a full year on a good team, Garrett Nussmeier would have broken out. However, that was not the case. Nussmeier, in a half season with LSU due to injury, threw for 1,400 yards, 11 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He's still going to be a pretty highly taken QB, but he's not going in the first round. Last year, threw for 4,000 yards, 29 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Showed a ton of promise, but still showed a lot of holes in his game. This year, still didn't take that jump up, and of course, he had the injury. For his collegiate career, he throws for 51 touchdowns, 25 interceptions. But obviously, you're relying on that arm talent. He does have the best arm talent in the draft, has an absolute rocket attached to his shoulder. And that's what teams are hoping to tap into this next season in the NFL. At number 8 is Sawyer Robertson from Baylor. Robertson, 28 touchdowns to just 3 interceptions this year. Led his team to the playoff. Great career for Robertson. Started out at Mississippi State, then really took the nation by storm at Baylor last year. And his rival, who also made the playoffs, Baron Morton, is here at number 9. Another guy who's been a starter for as long as anybody. Behren Morton, this guy was in the mix since 2022. He throws for nearly 10,000 career passing yards, 82 touchdowns to 28 interceptions, built upon a great year last year that was a breakout season. And he, he also ran it in for 4 scores, which tied a career high, brought his career total to 11. So not overall, just not a bad year at all from Behren Morton. Great career. At number 10 is Tucker Gleason. Who would have thought he would be here? Gleason, another big QB. My goodness, he's a big fella. But he can run too. Like Gleason just spent his 6th year with Toledo. Last year he was a starter, 2,800 yards, 24 touchdowns, 8 picks. Was a pleasant surprise for the Rockets, who historically have had pretty good quarterback play. You got Logan Woodside, Daquan Finn before him. But Gleason had a career year this year, 43 total touchdowns. That's 36 through the air, 7 on the ground. Last to go along with last year when he had 31. So he ends his collegiate career with 72 career passing touchdowns to just 19 interceptions and 17 rushing touchdowns. This guy was a no-name recruit coming out of high school. Yeah, the dude was a 2-star at Georgia Tech. Now he is going to be maybe a top 10 quarterback taken off the board. At number 11 is Kaidon Salter from Colorado. Actually, I think I'm going to switch these two. Salter's going to be at 10. Yeah. Gleason's going to be at 11. Because Kaidon Salter, he's so good. We all know how good he was in 2023. Then in 2024, kind of fell off a little bit. Not going to lie to you. But in 2025, he was back on another level. Just look at his 2023 stats: 2,800 passing yards, 32 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Then, don't go away, 1,100 rushing yards, 12 rushing touchdowns. That's right, that's 44 total touchdowns. Even had 22 last year, which isn't bad. This year he was right back at it with 31 passing, 5 rushing. On Colorado, he didn't need to carry the team by toeing the rock as much as he did. So he just unleashed for 3,800 passing yards. I had a career high in completion percentage. Great year for Kaidon Salter under Dion. And what's funny is he'll probably get drafted higher than Shedeur did. Then you got Beau Pribula from Mizzou at number 12. Pribula had a nice little season, his first and only year starting. Sat on the bench at Penn State for forever, but we know he's athletic. 3,200 yards, 31 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. And then he added 7 scores on the ground. Certainly a good year for Pribula. I hope he goes to a good team and pans out. As for the rest of the guys entering the draft that could get drafted, you got Jalen Daniels from Kansas, Byron Brown from USF, Haynes King from Georgia Tech, Brendan Lewis from Memphis, Zach Calzada from Kentucky, Jake Retzloff from BYU, Miller Moss from Louisville, Luke Altmaier from Illinois, Taylor Green from Arkansas, and then like the guys that are not at all, definitely not getting drafted, but could be undrafted free agents: Diego Pavia, Chandler Morris, Jalen Henderson, Braylon Braxton, Kyron Drones, Reese Poffenbarger, Blake Shapen, and EJ Warner. Anyone who you didn't hear but is graduating is not going to the NFL Combine and will not have it, and will either graduate or go into like the UFL. Moving on to running backs. The number 1 running back in the draft is going to be the Heisman winner, Mekhi Hughes. Hughes, the running back for the national championship winning Oregon Ducks, runs for 1995 and 28 touchdowns, while also adding 300 receiving yards with 6 receiving touchdowns. Hughes was arguably better than Ashton Jeanty last year, which is a crazy thing to say because Jeanty was like amazing. Didn't get the ball near as much, but when he did, he was special. And you look at the last 2 years, 1,378 yards, 1,401 at Tulane. Like, this guy's a machine. 3 years at the collegiate level, and he ran for 4,700 yards in 3 seasons. And then he also ran for 50 touchdowns and added 8 receiving scores. Yeah, that's pretty freaking good. And that's an NFL player. Then you got 4-year starter Nick Singleton at number 2. Singleton, 6', 220. He's a bruiser at running back. Ran for 1,000 yards 3 different times in his career. 2023, he ran for 752, came up just short. Last year was his best year all across the board. Most touchdowns, most rushing attempts, most yards, best yards per carry. Great year for Nick Singleton. Then you got Justice, never mind. Who is next? Jeremiah Love is the number 3 back in the draft. He was number 1 going into the season, but thanks to these top 2 guys going bonkers, he's now number 3. Love had another nice year. 19 rushing touchdowns, was one of the best in the entire thing. Let me pull up his stats. Yeah, very similar year to what he had last year. Not quite as efficient, but had 2 more touchdowns. And then I believe he was also better in the receiving game. He sure was. Yeah, 4 receiving scores. So 23 total scores for Jeremiah Love. That brings his career total up to 44. Not bad. He's going to play on Sundays. He's a beast. Number 4 is Jonah Coleman from Washington. Coleman's a at least 3-year starter, I know. Started for a year at Arizona even before ever playing at Washington. Yeah, this is his second year in a row running for 1,000 yards. Was more efficient, ran for more touchdowns, was better in the receiving game than any of his last few years. Overall, just a crazy good year for Coleman. He's going to be playing on Sundays. Jaden Ott from Oklahoma is at number 5. He, from day one, Jaden Ott was a great player at in college football. Obviously played at Cal his first 3 years. His first 2 years mainly is when he balled out. 897 yards his freshman year. Sophomore year in 2023 had 1,300 yards and 12 scores. 2024 battled with injuries, played 10 games, but only got like 500 something total yards. Not a great year, but then he came back. The change of scenery worked for him at Oklahoma. Had a career year, 1,274 yards rushing with 9 scores. Wasn't near as effective in the receiving game, mainly because Oklahoma has better targets at wide receiver. Cal really doesn't. So yeah, he was a beast for Oklahoma in his 1 year there. He will go to the draft. At number 6 is going to be Kaytron Allen, the other back from Penn State. Crazy to think that these guys both were in the same class and have been splitting the backfield since their freshman year. That's 4 seasons of Nick Singleton and Kaytron Allen. Allen was not half bad at the college football level either. This year was an interesting year for him. We saw him get a lot more goal line or red zone opportunities. He had a career high in touchdowns, but a career low in yards. 797 rushing, coming off of 1,100 last year. He's always had a ton of rushing yards, being kind of like the second fiddle to Nick Singleton. Um, Career rushing totals of like about almost 3,700. That's pretty good. He's going to be a top running back and probably will have a room to himself in the NFL at some point, which is something that we didn't ever get to see in college. At number 7 is Jam Miller from Alabama. Miller, similar to like Josh Jacobs, never had a running back room to himself, and never put up insane stats, similar to Josh Jacobs, Bo Scarborough, a lot of those other Alabama running backs, Jahmyr Gibbs, but they didn't put up crazy stats. They put up some good numbers, and boy, you can just tell they're a good prospect. Jam Miller is a senior. 5'10", 220, ran for 668 and 7 scores last year. Again, like I said, didn't have the room to himself, wasn't even the main back, or he was the main back, but wasn't the top rusher. This year, similar thing. He was the top running back, but still wasn't like the main guy for them. But he was great, and when he did play, so he's going to be a number 7. We know how good Alabama running backs are. Number 8 is going to be a dog. Once again, Wake Forest was just such a Cinderella team this year. Damon Claiborne, 5'10", 195, ran for 1,086 yards, 10 scores. He was great in the receiving game as well, putting up basically back-to-back identical seasons at Wake Forest. Last year, he had 1,300 yards from scrimmage with 13 touchdowns. This year, he was at that exact same spot, about 1,300 yards, 12 touchdowns, playing on a great team. Claiborne is going to be a top 10 running back taken in this next draft. Moving on to number 9 is going to be Rasul Faison, who transferred from Utah State to South Carolina. Faison, 6 foot 218, had 20 rushing scores and 1 receiving score. We know he was also pretty good at Utah State in his time there. Ran for 1,845 yards and 13 touchdowns when he was there. Actually, I think I'm going to switch these guys. I think I'm going to put Faison ahead of Claiborne and Jam Miller because I underestimated him heavily. Then you got at number 10 is going to be Anthony Hankerson from Oregon State. This guy bounced around. He was at Colorado under Deion Sanders, never really got to play, but the last 2 years at Oregon State, he has popped off. 12 games, 1,087 yards, 9 touchdowns a year ago this year from Hankerson. And then a year ago, he had a very similar stat line, 1,082 rushing yards with 15 rushing scores. And yeah, he was never all that good with Colorado. They never really, he was supposed to be the main back, but they never ran the ball. Only 500, only 593 career rushing yards at Colorado. But then he goes to Oregon State and becomes a beast. At number 11 is Daniel Hishaw from Kansas. He just came out of nowhere and rushed for 21 touchdowns, the Devin Neal replacement in his 6th year with the Jayhawks. Never ran for more than 600 yards and 8 touchdowns in a season, which isn't bad with the Jayhawks. He was just behind Devin Neal on the depth chart. That was not the case this year. Hishaw ran for 21 rushing scores, and then he also had 96 yards receiving. Never been a good receiving back, but we know he's a great rusher. Number 12 is another guy in the Big 12. It's Taway Walker. He's spent time at 3 different schools, Oklahoma, Wisconsin, and now Cincy. Had a breakout year at Cincinnati, 1,300 rushing yards, 12 rushing touchdowns, and he was also got a score in the receiving game. Number 13 is going to be Des Reed from Pitt. Reed would be much higher if this was in the preseason, but he's small and had a really weird year last year. Didn't get the ball near as much as we thought he would. So he's got like 809 rushing yards, 14 rushing scores. Did have a great year in the receiving game. But yeah, like I said, not as good as he was last year. He's a receiving back, though, that's for sure. Um, he is going to be, though, the number 13 running back on the team's draft board. Number 14 is Kajon Owens, 1,500 rushing yards last season for the 1,500 rushing yards last year for FIU. That's crazy. What a year for him. In general, 17 rushing scores, All-American. Number 15 is Le'Veon Moss. We know him well from Texas A&M. Another guy who didn't have the running back room all to himself. But when this guy is healthy, he has been doing the damn thing ever since it all began. 890 rushing yards, 5 rushing scores. He also was great in the receiving game for us. And this dates back far before last, just this season. Played in the college football playoffs, but 2 years ago, or last year in 2024, 765 rushing yards and 10 scores in just 9 games. The year before that, he just played in just 9 games, 500 yards, 5 touchdowns. He was a former blue chip prospect. He's going to be playing on Sundays, and whoever gets him is going to be really, really happy to have him. Then you got Star Thomas from Tennessee, transferred over from Duke, and he's just a beast. Like, never really was not the focus of the offense at Tennessee, but he was still good. Was good at New Mexico State, was good at Duke, and then was good at Tennessee, just making his way up the ladder. And he's probably going to be good in the NFL, if you ask me. At number 17 is Noah Whittington from Oregon, the backup. Always the backup. Noah Whittington. What a legend for never leaving. This guy got 15 rushing touchdowns, and he was in the same running back room as Mekhi Hughes. He had 17 total touchdowns when one of the best running backs of our generation was just chilling at the top of the depth chart all year long. Noah Whittington was the backup long before that at Western Kentucky. Funny enough, this dude, you look all the way back in 2021, remember the Bailey Zappi days at Western Kentucky when they did nothing but throw the ball? Well, if they did ever run the ball, it was going to be Noah Whittington. He goes to Oregon in 2022, has a great year, 779 rushing yards, splitting a running back room with Bucky Irving. And then last year in 2023 was expected to be in the mix at running back, but Oregon just had so many good backs. Bucky Irving and Jordan James just outplayed him. Whittington only played 4 games, so he gets to redshirt, play one more year in 2024 or play 2 more years. So in 2024, he was not as good, not as efficient as the last 3 years, but still got a lot of time. 540 rushing yards. Jordan James was the main back. But then it's still not his team. 6th year, his 4th year at Oregon. Whittington still isn't the main back, but he's had an insane year. Anyways, 15 rushing scores. He's going to be good in the NFL. He is the 17th best running back in the draft. And then other running backs that you could see get drafted are Ishmael Mahdi from Arizona, Damari Alston from Auburn, Julian Gray from Liberty, Roman Hemby from Indiana, Jamal Haynes from Georgia Tech, Elijah Tolliver from Michigan State, Kentrell Bullock from South Alabama, Riddell Williams from Florida State, Blake Horvath, the quarterback from Navy, and Logan Diggs from Ole Miss. Some other guys who will be undrafted free agents or just not even there. Josh McRae from Georgia, Dean Connors from Houston, Javante Barnes from Oklahoma, Oscar Attaway from South Carolina, Jacquez Moore from Duke, LaShawn Williams from Kansas, Javon Jackson from UAB, Devin Mockabee from Purdue, Al-Jay Henderson from Buffalo, Amari Daniels from Texas A&M, Cam Porter from Northwestern, Sia Banjura from Ohio, Rashad Amos from Georgia State, Jaden Nixon from UCF, Anderson Castle from Duke, and Miles Davis from Utah State. And finally, Devon Booth from Mississippi State. All those guys. Bang. And then a wide receiver. The top receiver in this year's class, to nobody's surprise, is Jordan Tyson. Nobody talks about Jordan Tyson as the best receiver in college football with the young Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams existing. But Tyson is the best receiver in this draft class, no doubt. He just had an 1,100-yard season with 9 receiving scores. That is very, very serviceable. Before that, he was at Colorado, and then last year had a very similar year, 1101 with 10 scores. Literally almost a picture-perfect same season for Tyson this year as he was last year. And that's good because he was great both years. The number 2 receiver in the class is going to be someone who's declaring early, and that's Zachariah Branch. This guy is a beast. He's an insane kick returner. And then he also was a 5-star recruit, um, put up 823 receiving yards and 3 receiving touchdowns in his career at USC. Wasn't all that. Then comes to Georgia and puts it all together this season. He was their best player by far. Amazing year for Zach Branch. He was the punt returner as well. Led all of college football in punt return yards and yards per return in 2023. And then he also led all of college football in kick returns and return touchdowns total in his freshman year. His sophomore year, he was pretty good as well. He's a beast. Number 3, a current USC player, actually. Not a former guy, but it's going to be Jacoby Lane. Lane had 15 receiving touchdowns last year, and he picked right up this year. He's 6'4" as well. He's a beast. Declaring early after a 1,200-yard season. Also, DeCorian Moore is the new Jeremiah Smith. I forgot to say that, but he's a beast. He would literally be like the first wide receiver off the board if everyone was no Smith, Williams, then DeCorian Moore. If everyone was eligible, it's crazy that Jordan Tyson might not even be a top 5 receiver in college football, but he's going to go the first receiver off the board. And this receiving class is stacked, absolutely stacked. Just an insane wide receiver talent in college football right now. But anyways, Jacoby Lane, number 3, 6'4", 195. Look at the stats. He is good. Number 4 is going to be Evan Stewart from the national championship winning Oregon Ducks. Started out at Texas A&M, then went to Oregon, the former 5-star recruit. Finally had his breakout year this year, 1,000 receiving yards, and he's going to be good on Sundays as well. Number 5 is going to be Romello Brinson. You didn't know his name before this season, but after a 23 receiving score, 1,400-yard season, nearly winning the Heisman, yeah, now you do. Romello Brinson from SMU, looking like a first-rounder because he's a beast. Then Antonio Williams from Clemson is declaring early. Has had back-to-back like 1,000-yard seasons, been very good for them. Carnell Tate from Ohio State is declaring early. Another guy who was not an all-domain receiver for them last year, but was still putting up crazy stats. He is a beast. Jared Brown from South Carolina, another beast. South Carolina was just insane offensively this last year. Brown led the SEC in receiving yards last year. That's how good he was. He's a beast. Malachi Fields from Notre Dame is next. Fields had back-to-back like 800 receiving yard seasons at Virginia, and then you do that at Notre Dame for a 3rd year in a row, you're 6'4". Heck yeah, that's a beast right there. Then Barryon Brown, another elite kick returner, speedster, who transferred, very similar to Zachariah Branch. He goes to LSU from Kentucky, and he picks up this type of season. It was a breakout year for Barryon. We also know how much of how insane he is at returning. Yeah, he's great. Number 10 on the list. Number 11 in this year's draft is going to be Devontae Ross from Penn State, transferring in from Troy. Can I find him, please? Not Charles Ross. Devontae Ross, yeah. He was a beast, and he was a beast at Troy. He's going to be a beast in the NFL. Tony Johnson from Miami made it to the national championship, put up this season 17 receiving scores. Yeah, you're going to be playing on Sundays. Dylan Bell from Georgia also had a great year as 1,100 yards. Hello. He's going to be in the NFL. Eric Singleton from Auburn is declaring for the draft after a solid year for them. They just have so many playmakers. Like Eric Singleton was behind Cam Coleman this year, and he's still going to be great. Eugene Wilson, another guy who's declaring early from Florida. In just 4 games in 2024, he looked like the part of a first-round pick. this year was very good as well. 8 touchdowns, 910 yards. First full season of being good. Then you got Dejon Stribling from Ole Miss. Was great at Oklahoma State, especially early in the season last year. And this year was more of the same. He was the top target at Ole Miss. And yeah, now he's going to be playing on Sundays. Then you got Elijah Surratt from Indiana. He was good at JMU, but then had 2 straight just super solid seasons um, at Indiana after being at JMU. Obviously, followed Kirk Cignetti, got to play in the playoffs last year. Then you got DeCorian Clark from UTSA. The dude hadn't played since 2022. 2023, he's expected to be one of the top receivers in the American Conference after an elite 2022. Didn't really play. Then 2024, same thing. Didn't really play. Redshirted. Comes back for a 6th or 7th season. 1,400 receiving yards. Hello. To go along with the fact that he's 6'3" and super quick, and he can make contested catches like crazy. This is a player made in a lab. DeCorian Clark is crazy good. The thing is, he's just never, pretty much like everyone from those UTSA days that was really good, and then they all transferred away. Clark stayed with the Roadrunners, never really played against crazy competition. Then you got Denzel Boston, had back-to-back like 800 receiving yard seasons with Washington. He is declaring early. Did not lead his team in receiving yards, but was a beast. Like, come on. 6'4". Yeah, I don't know about declaring early. It is the best option, but he's been really good. Trevor Pena, who transferred from Syracuse to um, Penn State this past season, is here as well. He's a dog. He is going to be the 20th receiver off the board in this draft. And some other guys include Colin Lacey, C.J. Daniels from Miami, Cole Wilson from Baylor, Aaron Anderson from from LSU, Nick Anderson from LSU, Noah Thomas from Georgia, Omega Blake from Arkansas, Harrison Wallace from Ole Miss, D.T. Sheffield from Rutgers, Jay Fair from USC, Chase Roberts from BYU, Eric Rivers, Georgia Tech, Deion Burks, Oklahoma, Kevin Coleman, Mizzou, Caleb Douglas, and Reggie Virgil from Texas Tech, and then a bunch of other guys that we'll talk about in the Madden series. The last position we'll discuss today is going to be tight end. It's Oscar Delp from Georgia is by far the number one. He might be a top 5 pick. Oscar Delp looked like Brock Bowers 2.0 this season, and they had an insane receiving course. They didn't need a good tight end. But they used Oscar Delp, 813 yards, 10 receiving scores. Yeah, that's pretty freaking good if you ask me. 6'5", 245. He checks all the boxes. Weird town name, though, by the way. Okay. I wouldn't want to be from there. Anyways, yeah, never really came on until this year. Just came out of nowhere. The former national champion his freshman year. Now he's looking to be taken within the first 5 picks, 5 to 10 picks of the draft. Justin Jolly from NC State's at number 2. NC State's horrible, but Justin Jolly's pretty good. He had a good year. 6'3", 251, 92 overall. Eli Stowers from Vanderbilt's here as well. We know how good he was last year. Former Texas A&M backup quarterback, actually. Bounced around to a couple schools, I believe Texas State, New Mexico State, and Vandy. Either way, he is here as well. Max Clare from Ohio State, Tanner Colesville from Houston, Eli Raridan from Notre Dame, Miles Kitselman from Tennessee, Cameron Mateer from Arizona State, Matt Lauder from Boise State, R.J. Maryland from SMU, Joe Royer from Cincy, Alex Bauman from Miami, Amari Niblack from Texas A&M, and Tanner Arkin from Illinois are also here. We are going to look at one more position. I lied. It's going to be Where is Caden Proctor? There he is. Caden Proctor is going to be your number one. This guy is 6'7", 360. Ugh, that is a big boy. Hold on. Let me do this differently for the tackles since they're like the stats are weird. Yeah, it's going to be Caden Proctor from Alabama. He is a big boy. A very, very big boy. Former five-star recruit. 6'7", 360 from Des Moines, Iowa. Had that weird point where he transferred after his freshman year to Iowa, but then transferred back before the year started. So he has been a lifelong Bama player, but he's so strong. 99 strength, 99 toughness, 99 impact, 97, 94. He's just such a good pass blocker, and he's so strong. Run blocking could be better. Obviously, the footwork and the quickness aren't as elite because he's massive, but he's a beast. Number two is going to be Isaiah World, who was the highest rated player in the transfer portal this year. And for good reason. He went from Nevada, one of the worst teams in the country, to the national champion Oregon, while also having a career year. The thing about World is he's huge. He's 6'8". My God. 6'8", not as massive as Caden Proctor at just 309. Still huge. 6'8", 309. Had a better year this year. World's going to be the number two guy off the board. Number three is going to be Spencer Fano from Utah. All these guys will likely be top 15 picks. There's four, no doubt, first rounders at the tackle position in this year's draft. Fano, yeah, I mean, he checks all the boxes. Dude, this is his third year starting with Utah. His freshman year, he was insane. This year, he's just as good. He's a beast. Spencer Fano, he's 6'6", 302. Not as just genetically gifted as Proctor and World are, but that's why he's a right tackle. Um, and he's pretty damn good too. Francis Mauigoa from Miami is next up at fourth. Didn't have the best year this year, but again, he played on a team that made it to the national championship and was their best O-lineman and has historically been great over the past 3 seasons for them. 94 overall, 6'6", 315, big boy. You got, and then you got a little drop off, but there's still some very gifted athletes here. Brian Parker from Duke is going to be one of them. 6'5", 300. He is, checks all the boxes, 72 speed, 88 strength. Again, he is no Caden Proctor, but he's a body, and he's very, very good at that. I can see this being a mid to late first round pick. Great pass blocker. Still has a lot to improve upon in his run blocking game in the NFL, which is definitely exciting. Then you go to Wake Forest. You go look at Fa'alili Fa'amoe. Like I said, Wake Forest, Cinderella team this year. A lot of good players. Fa'al, whatever his name, Fa'alalalala. The dude is crazy gifted. 6'5", 317, was just a two-star coming out of high school, but he is so strong. 94 strength, 94 impact blocking. His run blocking is kind of capped out, but the pass blocking is really good. I think this is easily a possible first-round pick. You got another ACC guy with Blake Miller from Clemson. Didn't have the best year this past season, but was still really good. And we know he's also super gifted. He's super strong, 6'6", 315. Um, he can even improve with the toughness. He's got 92 strength, 92 impact blocking already. Really good all around. You got Xavier Hill from Colorado here. He's not obviously he's no Jordan Seaton. Like Seaton is the top guy on that O-line. The 5-star. But he does have one more year left in him. Whether that'll be with Colorado or somebody else, hint, hint, at the transfer portal episode. Xavier Hill from Colorado, Yeah, he'll do. He will do. The guy is massive. 6'4", 318, had a great year last year. Next up, Micah Pettis from Florida State will be number 9. 89 overall, 6'7", 355. Huge boy, and just had a great year last year, or this year, I suppose. I've been saying 97 strength, 95 toughness, 92 pass block, 87 run block. He's a beast. Next up is a lower rated guy by EA Sports, but talk about big boys. And he went to Alabama and was almost as good, if not better, than Caden Proctor this year. Bubba Rogers. Bubba Rogers is a top 10 offensive lineman in this class. 6'8", 340? And he only gave up 2 sacks playing the most snaps on the team? Ugh. That is insanely good. And look how much he can improve with his strength. Not the strongest, but he's a good pass blocker, and that can improve a lot. Also, his IQ, he's got decent footwork. Also, he's just huge. 6'8", 340. Alabama is just unfair with those 2 tackles. How on earth did you only go 7-6? Some other guys that are gonna be here are gonna be Jennings Dunker, Emil Wagner, or Jennings Dunker from from frickin' uh, Iowa, Emil Wagner from Notre Dame, Austin Barber from Florida, J.C. Davis from Illinois, Derek Graham from Tulane, Tristan Lay from Clemson, Carter Smith from Indiana, Markel Bell from Miami, and others that I'm not going to read because left tackle or tackles isn't a crazy position, but they are still very important. Anybody else I'm thinking of talking about? I don't believe so. So I think that is going to end this episode. There will be another episode where I do the inside offensive lineman with the guards, the centers, the edge rushers, the D tackles, the Sams, the Mikes, the Wills, the corners, the free safeties, the strong safeties, the kickers, and the punters. Okay, maybe we'll skip the kickers and punters, but there'll be more later. But for now, I think that's going to end this episode. A shorter one today, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.